Hello, and welcome all to FutureStack 2021. We've got an amazing, jam-packed 3-day event, and I couldn't be more excited to kick things off. This year, our theme is Level Up, and all of our sessions, whether keynotes, hands-on workshops, or snackable sessions, are designed to bring you insights, best practices, and learnings from the community that help you build new skills to master observability. The last time you joined us for FutureStack, it was in New York City in the fall of 2019. Now, the world has changed quite a bit since then, and so our event this year is fully virtual. While we will miss seeing each of you in person, there are some perks to this virtual world. This is our biggest FutureStack ever, with more than 50 sessions in a variety of formats that feature more than 30 customer presenters. You'll hear from engineers and developers who will share their best cheat codes with you. Now, all of these sessions, including keynotes, will be recorded and available on demand immediately after their scheduled time. So, a quick level set on logistics. Here is a rundown of how things will go over the next 2 days. We'll kick off today and tomorrow with keynotes jam-packed with executive talks, customer stories, and technical demos for exciting new innovations to help you and your team do your jobs better, faster, and easier. After the keynotes, we'll jump right into our main sessions where you can choose to dive deep in one or more of the hands-on workshops, or maybe maximize your experience with our short, snackable 20-minute sessions. No matter what journey you choose to take at FutureStack this year, you are guaranteed to learn something new and have fun doing it. By the time you log off on Thursday afternoon, you'll have had the chance to learn from other engineers, developers, and observability practitioners just like you. We are so excited to be on this journey with you and for the observability story we will write together. And who better to share more about our vision for observability than our founder and CEO, Lou Cerny. Lou, over to you.
Hello, my name is Lou Cerny, and I'm the founder and CEO of New Relic, and I am so fired up to welcome all you data nerds from around the world to FutureStack 2021. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you're ready to level up your observability game because we have an incredible event planned. You'll have a chance to connect with data nerds from across the globe to tap into insights, best practices, and new skills as we shape the future of software. And we're going to have lots of fun doing it. At New Relic, we've always been pioneers of innovation from the very beginning. We've always been focused on you, the engineer, helping you build better software. And now we're leading the community's evolution from monitoring to the broader, more comprehensive practice of observability. Our vision for observability is a world where all stages of software lifecycle are data-driven. We believe that observability will be open, frictionless, and a natural part of every engineer's workflow as they build and run software. FutureStack is our annual technical conference that empowers the global community of observability practitioners leading this transformation. Our motivation is to showcase pioneering work we see across our community, our own engineering teams, and the industry at large to bring transformational innovation to you so that you can build better software. We hope that every FutureStack makes the community more vibrant, more collaborative, more inclusive, more diverse, and helps lead the industry in our shared vision for observability. So get ready to rack up your experience points and level up your game as we peer into what's possible with observability, all for the love of software and to help you build and run more perfect software. Let me introduce the individual behind New Relic's inspiring strategy focused on delivering value to users like you, my partner, my friend, Bill Staples.
Observability for all. It's not just a tagline at New Relic, it's our mission. Our mission is to make observability a daily practice for millions of engineers across the software lifecycle. In 2020, we accelerated this vision by launching New Relic One, a true observability platform designed to unify all telemetry data and deliver AI-assisted experiences in a single place. As part of that, we launched one of the most generous free editions in the industry with 100 gigabytes of telemetry data per month for all metrics, events, logs, and traces, and one free user license with full platform access, including access to all of our AIOps capabilities. This isn't just a free trial. New Relic Free Tier is just that, free forever. And the developer community is noticing. Hundreds of thousands of engineers have already signed up for New Relic to troubleshoot and optimize their apps, all for free. Over the next few days, you'll hear about exciting new programs that put the power of New Relic One into the hands of even more engineers, from students to startups. We've built this year's FutureStack tracks around 3 key themes: open, build, and run. Let's start with open. We believe that the democratization of observability will only be possible if it's community-driven, available by default, and utilizes open standards to allow true democratization of the practice. Throughout FutureStack, we'll be showcasing our commitment to an open community in 3 ways. First, our contribution of Pixie as a Kubernetes native in-cluster observability platform to the CNCF. Pixie uses eBPF to automatically capture service level requests and metrics without need for any manual instrumentation. Second, AWS and New Relic are working together to standardize all observability data on OpenTelemetry to democratize an open source telemetry collection. Third, we'll share how internet scale teams are using open source like OpenTelemetry and StatsD, along with New Relic One to seize the power of their telemetry data. Our second theme is build. We believe all engineers can leverage the benefits of observability beyond just monitoring software in production. Providing visibility and insights to engineers as they build software is core to our roadmap. With this theme, we'll highlight New Relic engineers and customers sharing their ability to drive CI/CD software build pipelines with observability data. And New Relic customers will share how they're expanding the value of observability by measuring overall business health and innovation velocity. Our third theme is run. Leveraging data to operate software in production is where observability has already proven a critical practice. Today's engineers must move beyond siloed monitoring UIs to deliver observability insights which help operators and engineers become more efficient in deploying software and troubleshooting issues. We'll introduce brand new features and showcase the latest innovations which help reduce time to resolution and run software more efficiently, including navigating massive distributed environments with the latest New Relic Explorer. New Relic customers will also discuss how they use applied intelligence to identify root causes faster and solve issues before they impact customers. And we'll look at New Relic logs and how they provide in-context insights alongside other telemetry streams for live debugging during incidents. I couldn't be more excited to kick off this amazing event. Get ready to level up your observability game, because the journey starts now.
At Inter, we were pioneers on adopting OpenTelemetry because we believe first in open standard.
By necessity, we have a lot of different sources, a lot of different formats, and a lot of different things that we want to get into New Relic. The fact that we could add some dynamic tags to some of our metrics, which automatically then tied into some of New Relic's capabilities because we're meeting in the middle using OpenTelemetry standards, was great.
I don't have to pick a solution that you support. I could pick a solution that best fits me. As I needed alert correlation, I turned around and said, let's see if New Relic has it. And of course they have it. So a lot of those things, like as I need them and I go to look for them, they're in the New Relic toolbox.
That's what I think is cool about New Relic being open, because you trust your product and you know that the customer is going to choose you because you provide a good software.
As Lou pointed out, we believe that democratization of observability will only be possible if it becomes community-driven, available by default, and uses open standards. That's why today, we're excited to announce the integration of Pixie into New Relic One. We committed Pixie to the CNCF earlier this month to build on the promise of instant Kubernetes observability. There's no need to update code or sample your data. And that's just the beginning. Here to share more is Zane Asghar, co-founder of Pixie and New Relic's Group Vice President and Product GM for Pixie.
Thanks a lot, Seema. I'm happy to talk about instant Kubernetes observability with Pixie today. So in reality, Kubernetes workloads are very diverse. And it's hard to set up. It's hard to connect all the dots between your various services. And it's hard to really understand what's going on within your system. A lot of this is driven by the fact that applications deployed on Kubernetes are typically written in many different languages. These polyglot stacks make instrumentation difficult. And it makes it very difficult to get a baseline level of visibility across your entire application. The second thing that happens is that there's tons of services spewing a lot of data. And ultimately, most of this data isn't actually that useful. Things are working as they're supposed to, or you're getting certain errors which are expected that you want to see because pages aren't found or whatever it is. But there's some cases in there where there's an actual error you really want to debug. The last area is that developers are being more and more active in the actual management of these applications. And today, most tools are targeted towards SREs and operators, and not really to the developers who are actually building the software. And with that, I want to announce today, and I'm actually really excited to announce today that we're going to change the observability industry forever. We're launching the next generation of observability, which is what we call Kubernetes Autotelemetry. So with Pixie and New Relic, you can skip installing language-specific agents, skip updating your code, and once Pixie is installed, you'll be able to get access to your entire Kubernetes cluster, which means network storage, CPU, memory, your actual application logs, network requests, and more without having to go and change any of your code. The way this works is that Pixie automatically harvests all this telemetry data using eBPF at the Linux kernel layer. We have a pretty sophisticated metadata system that actually connects all of this stuff together and allows you to access this from a service level perspective. In addition, Pixie runs entirely within your Kubernetes cluster and is a full distributed machine data system. Pixie's architecture gives you access to this data in a secure, cost-effective, and scalable way, and allows you to deploy machine learning at the source to be able to figure out what data is interesting to capture. In addition, Pixie is extensible using pixel scripts, a dialect of Python utilizing pandas, which allows you to actually have pretty sophisticated data analysis and stuff built in right into Pixie. We ship out of the box with scripts for many scenarios, but the open source community, we have a pretty large open source community working on extending Pixie, and also you can build your own scripts to suit your own needs. So one of the things about Pixie is that it's designed as a debugging system, which means that it is optimized to collect lots and lots of data over a short period of time. So it works out that New Relic has an amazing system to give you scalable data retention, alerting, and advanced correlations and powerful visualizations. So one of the things you can get with Pixie and our ability to connect with OpenTelemetry is that we can plug into New Relic, and you can get instant access to Kubernetes observability right with the experiences that you're already used to. This includes things like Kubernetes Cluster Explorer, Navigator, Lookout, and many other tools. I want to take a moment to talk about something that's really important to us here at New Relic and Pixie, and that's open source software. We believe that we're stronger as a community, and that's why we're all in on open source. As part of our commitment, we've been open sourcing our New Relic language agents and CLI. In addition, we're actually standardizing our observability offerings on OpenTelemetry with native support for the OpenTelemetry protocol, OTLP. And using this protocol, we're providing curated experience built on this open standard. In fact, our own Pixie integration is built on top of OTLP. And finally, when New Relic acquired Pixie, Lou and I spoke about honoring Pixie's heritage of serving the developer community. Pixie enjoys a very active community of builders and contributors to open source Pixel scripts, now the open source Pixie code base, and then creating reusable assets that accelerate observability for developers around the world. So like Prometheus and other tools, we're in the process of contributing self-managed version of Pixie to CNCF as an open source project, so that developers all over the world can get access to instant Kubernetes observability for free. You don't even need to have a New Relic account or be a New Relic customer. The open source version of Pixie is fully self-contained and can be used by anybody. OK, next I want to show you exactly how this integration works. Today is a big day for our teams that have been working very hard to build out the integration between New Relic and Pixie. And I'm very, very proud to show off this amazing team effort. So with that, let's just dive in and see how this works all the way from the installation to how you would actually debug a specific scenario using New Relic. So the first step is always to get everything installed, right? And we've made that process pretty straightforward. So you go and select that you want to add new data. You can go and select the Kubernetes integration. And once you select Kubernetes, we'll give you a few options that you can go and select over here. And then we give you this Helm command. And if you look at this Helm command, it says, OK, Pixie is enabled. And here's how you're going to deploy Pixie on your clusters. And once you run this, within a few minutes, you'll actually start seeing all the data. And it's pretty amazing that within a few minutes, we get a view of the entire cluster. So this is one of the views we have in New Relic. And it allows you to see your entire Kubernetes cluster at a glance. So there's a lot going on over here, so I'm going to break this down a little bit. You can think about every slice of the pie over here as representing a node, and then you can get high-level information about the CPU, memory, and disk. Each one of the hexagons actually represents a specific pod, and green ones are healthy, orange one there's some, yellow ones there's something going on, and red ones means that there's they're alerting. Previously, you'd have to install New Relic specific language agents to get this data. But now with Pixie, you get all this data instantly without having to update any of your source code. Add any annotations to any of your YAML files or anything like that. All the relationships are automatically generated and makes it possible for you to get started in just a few minutes. So with Pixie being just another open telemetry data source for New Relic, you can actually take advantage of everything inside of New Relic working out of the box. For example, we have Lookout over here, which very easily allows you to see anomalous behavior across your entire cluster estate with no configuration, helping you focus your attention on the right problems. All right, so one of the things we saw is that with Pixie and New Relic, you can light up your entire cluster and get data without having to do any work in just a few short minutes. Now, I'm going to kind of walk through a specific debug scenario that a software developer might run into. So let's say that I'm a full-stack software developer working for an e-commerce company. And we all know there's standard e-commerce microservices demo applications. So we're going to show one over here. There's a handful of services. There's a front-end service. There's an order service that processes orders. And then there's things like shipping, shopping carts, and payment services in this simple demo scenario. So just imagine that I'm a software engineer working on these things. We are very agile teams, so we make releases daily, maybe even multiple times a day. And when bugs crop up, we need to be able to identify them rapidly, figure out what's happening, and be able to mitigate the issue, which could be rolling back a release. It could be creating a patch. So one of the problems over here is that they've been having a difficult time debugging, isolating, and resolving these problems because you see metrics like HTTP requests are slowing down, but you're like, where in the code is this happening? And on a more personal note, as a software developer, one of the issues that I've always been troubled by is when someone asks me to debug production code, I'm like, I don't actually have all the data I need to debug this problem. And if someone were to just be able to give me performance profiles or specific log statements, I'd be able to do my job a lot more efficiently without having to go through multiple deploy or release cycles to actually get the information that I need. So we're back at this microservices demo app. It's been deployed on Kubernetes, and we're starting to see performance issues. So what happens? We got an alert. So in the first view over here, we see that there's a red pod. So what we're going to do is start investigating what's going on in this red pod. And we pull up all of the metrics that we're collecting, and we immediately notice that there's some slow requests over here. And we know that we've been pushing code continuously, and we really want to isolate what's going on and why things have suddenly started slowing down. So with the integration, we can see that all this information is just available right here on the right-hand panel. We've been able to see that the requests are slow. And now we have this additional thing where we can actually jump right in and actually take a look at performance profiles. So this is one of the features that we can get with Pixie's capability of operating at eBPF and being able to provide developer-specific workflows. And one of the cool things about this is that we can produce these flame charts from this feature we have in Pixie called continuous profiling. And what this allows you to do is you're like, oh, this application's slow. I need to find out where the application is slow. Right? As a software developer, knowing that something is slow is less important than knowing where in the code something is slow, so I can actually go figure out how to make this process better. So in this profiler, a simple way to look at this is that wide bars mean that things are slow. Right? So I generally go look at the widest bars and see what's going on. And we can see over here that we can call out specific functions. In particular, the get product, parse catalog, and read catalog files functions are way too slow. And there's probably a bug in one of these functions. So what should we do? Well, we should go take a look at the source code and see what's going on. So then we jump into the source code. And it turns out that there's a sticky flag over here that prevents a catalog from getting reloaded. But since the flag is actually set incorrectly, it's causing this catalog to get reloaded every single time, which is turning this into a latency spike and causing multiple errors downstream. So this is a kind of a toy example, right? But one of the things that you realize is that you can kind of go from the entire workflow where you start at pretty high-level signals and then be able to dig through the entire workflow all the way down to specific lines of code. And all of this was done by instrumenting all the code behind the scenes automatically using things like eBPF. And with this in mind, we can go back to fixing this code and then redeploying it and be able to move on and deliver customer value. All right, so we think that Pixie and New Relic are going to change the way you build and operate software. And we want everyone to have access to this. That's why we're releasing audit telemetry with Pixie for free for all New Relic customers. Basic users can access Pixie data and dashboards just like you would any other source of data. And any user that has the full stack observability license will enjoy Pixie data inside your Kubernetes Cluster Explorer, Navigator, Lookout, and more. So please try it out today. Pixie and New Relic integration is in public beta. So if you're a New Relic user, you can go ahead and just go and add new data and follow the guided install like we did in the beginning over here. And you'll be up and running in a few minutes. For those of you that aren't yet using New Relic, go sign up for our free tier. There's 100 gigabytes per month, free forever, with no strings attached. And now with audit telemetry with Pixie, it couldn't be easier for you to start monitoring your Kubernetes workloads. Once again, the team's been hard at work at this, and we're super excited to release our public beta to the world. And I'm even more excited to announce that in just a month, we'll be GAing this integration. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Zane. It's so exciting to see Pixie change the world of Kubernetes observability. Now, our mission is to make observability a daily practice for millions of engineers. It's a big goal, and we know we can't do it alone. So last fall, we announced a strategic collaboration agreement with AWS to accelerate innovation and cloud migration for our joint customers. Now, I'm honored to introduce Jana Dogan, Principal Engineer at AWS, although you may know her better as @Rakel on GitHub. She's going to share more about AWS's vision of observability and how AWS is collaborating with us on Pixie to deliver high-quality observability data to developers. Jana, over to you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here to share what we've been thinking about Pixie and how we want to work together. As a builder of some of the operational visibility tools myself, I've been working closely with many of you in the last years to make this space better and easier for practitioners. But we still have to invest weeks, months, and sometimes years into an observability story that provides us visibility of our entire stack. In the last few years, we started to think differently about instrumentation. We want a world where you get most useful data without much effort. But this is not an easy endeavor. Building integrations, utilizing new capabilities that give us out-of-the-box data, and sending them to a tool for storage and analysis, it's just not that easy. Pixie is hitting the nail here by making this stuff friction-free for Kubernetes. Pixie gives me a large variety of operational debugging capabilities on Kube without any code changes. So I have an EKS cluster here. Let's take a look at the pods. My services are in the default namespace here. I started to experience some latency myself, so let's take a look at the Pixie dashboard. I'll go to the namespaces. This is populated by Pixie automatically. I'm making a request to this checkout service. Let's take a look. So when I look at the latency, I'm seeing an odd pattern here for 99th and 19th percentile. It's consistently high, and it shouldn't be. Let's take a look at the slow requests. Okay, this is the pod that slow request was coming from. Oh, look at the CPU usage, it's 60%. This is burning CPU. So Pixie is also collecting continuous profiles. Maybe it's time to take a look at our continuous profiles. Here we are. So in this pod, this checkout handler seems to be burning CPU, and it is very interesting. At this point, it's better to maybe take a look at the source code to understand what's going on here. So this is my checkout handler. It's decoding and then like checking out. Let's see what's in here. Oh, snap. I have this like for loop that just runs the same thing again and again. I should delete this. And let's return here, make it much simpler. Now I have to rebuild and redeploy. Okay, I redeployed. Let's take a look what's going on. Let's see if there's any difference. My data is coming. It looks like it's different. Let's wait a bit more. I think the issue is resolved. This is great. With Pixie, I didn't have to learn the whole observability space and set up a dozen of tools to find where the bug was. If I had to, I would be spending hours and hours and compromising the availability of my production service. This tool is powerful, and I'm really looking forward to making it better and making the experience on EKS as smooth as possible. Please let me know if you're interested in Pixie on EKS, and let's work together. Thank you.
Thanks, Yana. We're looking forward to our continued partnership and joint innovation. Last summer, we turned the industry on its head when we announced that we'd open source our agents. That open strategy is already having big impact for engineers everywhere. But don't just take our word for it. Here to share more is Mason Jones, Senior Staff SRE at Credit Karma. We're going to find out how they've combined open source techniques for collecting telemetry data with the power of the new Relic One observability platform. Mason, over to you.
Thanks, Seema. I'm Mason Jones from Credit Karma, and looking forward to telling you a little bit about our journey to open observability. So about a year and a half ago, Credit Karma was in a situation that's very common for high-growth startups. As we had grown our people and our membership, our systems and applications had also grown really rapidly. And our observability sort of organically spread so that we really had a wide variety of tools in place. And to be honest, we had too many tools in place. We had moved into the cloud. We had adopted built-in cloud monitoring solutions for some purposes, separate monitoring systems for our hosts, for our infrastructure. We had custom metrics being collected and sent from our services, event streams from our applications, Zipkin traces from our new microservices architecture, Prometheus metrics from our new Kubernetes clusters. And we had been using New Relic for quite a long time already, alongside log providers and everything else. So really, we had a lot going on. And at that point, we realized that tracking our observability was almost to the point where it needed its own observability. So we needed to do something about this. We were in a position where we certainly could have built an observability platform internally, but really we decided that that's not core to our business, and this was a really good opportunity for us to buy versus build. But either way, being able to leverage open source solutions was really, really important to us. Open source tools and standards had already been a really big lift for us in the past, and continuing to adhere to open standards was essential to us. For example, we had begun to organize our custom metrics using open telemetry standards, and that was already paying dividends, allowing us to be able to take advantage of different tools and different platforms simply by following an open standard that everyone else was using. We had been using Telegraph in our infrastructure for collecting and forwarding metrics for a couple of years. And as an open source tool, it really gave us a lot of capabilities to build on top of it, make use of it. And as we describe in our full presentation here at FutureStack in great detail, it was really, really useful for us in migrating to New Relic. And lastly, tracing is a really good example. We had been starting to send Zipkin traces from our microservices for a while. And because Zipkin was already a known and accepted standard, when it came time to migrate to New Relic, it was easy because New Relic would accept our Zipkin traces. So we could really see the advantage of these sorts of open standards, and we absolutely continue to really prioritize following open source standards and continuing to use open source tools as well. We're still working on our migration to New Relic, although we're getting closer to the end than the beginning at this point. And we've already seen over and over how our use of open source tools and our adoption of open source standards has really paid us dividends over and over. I can only imagine how much more difficult our migration to New Relic and our adoption of any other tools would be much, much more difficult if we were not following these open standards already. So looking to the future, we're certainly going to continue paying attention to the evolution of open standards around observability and our opportunities to participate in the open source community as well. We want to make sure we use every opportunity to take advantage of the standards, whether it's adopting a solution that someone else has created, using existing tools that are out there, and contributing to open source efforts in the space ourselves. Thank you very much. I hope that our story of really how important the open source and open standards communities have been to us can provide everybody else with some really good ideas moving forward as well. Back to you, Seema.
There's no doubt that open source software plays a critical role in today's monitoring landscape. And a big thank you to Zane, Yana, and Mason for sharing your knowledge. As open source tools continue to gain momentum, successfully navigating the open source landscape requires a thoughtful approach. We know that today's distributed environments are complex enough, and the insights and innovation the three of you shared provide a promising roadmap for how to take advantage of open source solutions while mitigating their challenges. The future is open, so let's go build it together.
We've had teams adopting our observability tooling for everything from CI/CD, our build tools, through all of our development environments, our test environments.
There are some paths that we deprecate. There are some configurations that we want to avoid, but sometimes they're necessary. So we use New Relic to track those movements.
We use the New Relic extensively as well as part of our load testing. We use that to see how our systems overall perform.
We also use New Relic to monitor many other internal tools, thinking of the developer's perspective as well.
We do look at all the metrics within our systems, how each microservice is behaving. So in that way, we can simulate, what the traffic pattern we forecasted for the next rush.
Earlier, Bill Staples told us how all engineers can leverage the benefits of observability beyond just monitoring software in production. That's why we're so excited to highlight some of the recent innovations that extend New Relic One to the full software lifecycle, all the way from planning through building to deploying software. First, let's talk about debugging. Fixing errors is just one part of every developer's life, and we want to make it as painless as possible. With our new error tracking capability, every engineer will be able to triage and resolve the errors that they care about faster than ever. Here to tell us more about this exciting new capability is Adam Johnson, Principal Product Manager for Full Stack Observability.
Thanks, Seema. Hi, everyone. I'm Adam Johnson from the New Relic product team. Today, I'm super excited to share with you an exciting new innovation we just launched that will make the lives of all developers easier. As a developer, your number one focus is on building an awesome product. You'd spend 100% of your time on it if you could, but errors in production keep popping up, breaking you out of your rhythm and taking precious time away from developing new products and features. With so much on your plate, you're constantly in reactive mode, addressing errors as they appear by auditing error rate changes, or worse, waiting for customers to alert you to issues. Being reactive causes urgency, which leads to stress and breaks you out of your flow. Not only that, there's a ton of noise, making it hard to identify the most critical errors. And the errors you do identify don't have the context readily available for you to solve them quickly. That's why we're excited to announce the release of New Relic Errors Inbox, our error tracking solution that's designed to put you in the driver's seat when it comes to detecting, triaging, and resolving errors. You may already be using an alternative tool for error tracking today, but other tools limit data reporting to RUM data or rely on integrations with platforms like New Relic to provide context on the errors detected. New Relic Errors Inbox is part of New Relic One, making the only platform that combines industry-leading telemetry data with the ability to proactively triage issues. New Relic Errors Inbox is generally available today. Full stack observability users now have access to an errors inbox where we group together errors occurrences from across your stack and make them viewable and actionable on a single screen. Just like your email inbox, the errors inbox will be your go-to place to proactively resolve errors for applications and services that you care about. You get proactive notifications. The moment an error is detected, the right people will be notified in Slack or their preferred communication channel, leading to faster resolutions. And troubleshooting is straightforward with error profiles that provide all the context you need to get to the root cause of the error fast. We also persist the error data, so even if an error reappears a week later, you have the previous notes available to review. Finally, we've made collaborating with teammates easy and error groups that are visible to everyone who has access. No more resolving errors in silos. And with our integration to Slack, you can work errors where you want and send information to the right teams. Now let's see a preview of New Relic Errors Inbox in action. Let's start by looking at workloads. Workloads dynamically pull together in a curated view all the applications and services your team is responsible for. This makes it easier to cut down on noise, isolate issues that matter, and understand their cause and impact. This is important to understand because Errors Inbox uses workloads to filter errors by the specific entities you're responsible for. You can see errors that span different data points from APM, browser, mobile, and serverless. These are grouped errors, so you can easily review all the unique errors your system is emitting. We record the total number of occurrences, and you can track the errors over time by hovering over the Sparkline chart. If an error is known but not important, ignore it right from the inbox to decrease noise. You can also preemptively resolve an error, though New Relic will auto-resolve errors that are no longer detected. Perhaps most time-saving is the ability to assign issues to the right person. The context provided allows you to know which team is actually responsible for the fix without playing a game of hot potato. This leads to less time discussing and more time fixing. Now, if you do need to investigate an error, you can select the error group to get more details. With one click, you can see the stack trace, so you can troubleshoot the issue immediately. With all of the rich observability data already in New Relic, Errors Inbox gives you the full context of the issue. This includes details like the account, stack trace, and error attributes. Because these are grouped errors, you can view the details of the first error, the most recent error, and everything in between. And if you're tired of creating war rooms with too many people in it and spending way too much time going through runbooks, then comments and context will come in handy. As you're solving an error with your team and across teams, everyone can write comments visible to everyone involved, keeping the notes in the context of the error group you're working on. So looking at the comments, this error requires a simple fix, which can be taken care of right away. And that's it. As you just saw, it took just a couple of clicks to identify, understand, and resolve the issue. And the benefits of our error tracking solution extend beyond production environments. You can also tie your dev and staging environments to New Relic and constantly monitor if the latest releases broke anything, helping you develop and ship code faster with fewer errors. Error tracking is quickly becoming a critical part of the full software development lifecycle. That was a very quick demo of our error tracking solution, but hopefully it gave you a sense for how Errors Inbox in New Relic 1 can help reshape the way you tackle errors. This feature is live today and is available out of the box to all FSO users, so many of you can access this right now. No additional setup required. Simply go to the Errors Inbox tab in New Relic. Today, you can track errors for APM, RUM, mobile, and serverless Lambda functions, and we'll soon be adding support for logs, infrastructure, distributed traces, and open telemetry data. Try out Errors Inbox today by logging into New Relic or signing up for a free account. Now back to you, Seema.
Did you know New Relic 1 is a programmable platform? That means you can create, manage, and deploy community-built applications from the New Relic 1 catalog, or even build your own to meet your specific business needs. Programmability lets engineers extend New Relic 1 to gain more insight into their systems and connect system performance with business KPIs, engagement with customers, or even align third-party systems. Here to tell us more about some very exciting innovations around programmability is Jules Nocera, lead software engineer at New Relic.
Thank you, Seema. Jules here. I'm a lead engineer on the developer experience team at New Relic. So glad to be here at FutureStack, and I'm so glad to see you all here as well. In 2020, we launched New Relic 1, the first programmable observability platform. As a programmable platform, it puts the power to build unique applications right into your hands, using the same tools our own engineers use to build New Relic 1. Today, I have some exciting announcements that will give you even more ways to build and customize your New Relic 1 experience. We were so stoked for our community leveling up their programmability game that we kicked off our first 24-hour FutureHack hackathon, run by our very own Jemiah Sias. Since yesterday, teams of developers, engineers, and students have been rapidly developing innovative applications and visualizations. Good luck to all our teams, and for everyone else, make sure to tune in tomorrow as we announce the winners of FutureHack 2021. Inspired by our community, we wanted to make it easier for more developers to take advantage of New Relic's programmability features. So we listened to what you had to say. We learned that while the app ecosystem unlocked their imagination, many were looking for even faster ways to get started. We also heard that you wanted a way to create smaller scale custom widgets for your dashboards in order to customize, visualize, and communicate your data to different stakeholders faster. We know starting from scratch can be a daunting task, and luckily you don't have to. That's why we recently launched custom visualizations. You can use third-party charting libraries as a template to build custom charts, pull in various telemetry data sources, and pin them onto your dashboards. That means you can build visualizations without having to build a full application. Get the flexibility with much less toil. Let's see how. So I've got a dashboard here that shows me everything I want to see in one place. Every chart you see has a NERCL query behind it, and I love how I have visibility into the data and the power to display it in different ways. For example, this backend errors chart is powered by a facet query I can see here. It's useful, but I need to scroll to see all the errors listed in my dashboard view. What if I wanted a brand new chart? For example, a radar chart could show me all of these facets at once. That's where custom visualizations come in. We can get to it from the Apps button here. And if you've previously built an app in New Relic, then building a custom visualization will feel familiar. And if not, we've got some guides which are linked here. All you need is an API key and the New Relic One CLI to get started. Let's jump to our terminal and see how easy it is. To get started, let's run nr1 create and select the visualization option. All I have to do is give our visualization a name. Once set, it creates the template visualization and installs the necessary dependencies, including a built-in recharts library. Why don't we take a look at what was generated? In my code editor, I've got a working example that includes the data transform and pulls in the recharts library. I also have a way to configure any customization options for anyone who uses my new chart. There are many ways to personalize and add on to what's been generated, but without editing a single line, we get a functional default template out of the box. Down here, I'll run npm start to get my visualization running locally and click this link to go directly to it in New Relic One. Let's take a peek at what we've built. There's a helpful example query we can run here, but I know what I want to visualize. Remember that query we copied earlier from our dashboard? Let's pull it in. And voila, isn't that beautiful? In order to share this with my teammates, I've published a version of the chart, and it looks just great on our dashboard. Now I see all my backend errors in a single view without needing to scroll. And my brand new chart works just like any other New Relic chart. My colleagues or I can edit the configurations, change the query, or even make a copy to another dashboard. In less than 3 minutes, I was able to create a new custom visualization, pull in query data, and pin it onto my dashboard to share. We've built a quick custom chart from the default, but that's just the beginning. As I mentioned before, I can use open source libraries to visualize data from various sources. This means the only limit to customizing dashboards now is your imagination. For this dashboard page, I grabbed some examples from the Victory Charts library. And to make it even easier to get started with beautiful custom visualizations, I'm happy to announce that New Relic is partnering with Formidable, a global design and engineering consultancy and open source software organization. One of their open source projects is Victory Charts, an awesome library with highly customizable charting components for React and React Native. With this partnership, we will integrate Victory templates directly into the custom visualizations app, ready for your NERCL queries. And in the spirit of collaboration, we'll continue to seek more partnerships in the community. After that, I'm sure we're all wondering, how can I start leveling up my dashboards? I have one last exciting announcement. Earlier this month, we launched the brand new programmability certification. This hands-on learning gives you everything you'd need to know about programmability at New Relic. You'll create custom visualizations and build a full New Relic app from scratch. Becoming certified is the perfect way to learn how to create custom experiences that help drive value within your organizations, just like how we saw at Sainsbury's. Today, we saw how it's easier than ever before to customize your New Relic One developer experience. You can easily create unique widgets with custom visualizations within minutes, and soon it will be even faster with built-in Victory templates. We'd also love to help you get your programmability journey started. Enroll in our certification program and learn how to build with New Relic. We're so excited to see what you'll create. Back to you, Seema.
As you can see, amazing things are possible with an extensible observability platform. You can't manage what you can't measure. And when you have observability on all stages of the software development lifecycle, you're delivering better, more reliable services. And we believe every company should be able to take advantage of observability, from a 2-person startup bringing the vision of our shared tomorrow to life, to multinational Fortune 100 companies providing the networks and infrastructure behind today's world economy. Here to talk about how the world's leading energy company is using New Relic to measure and optimize KPIs in their CI/CD pipeline is Rama Rachappa, Senior Director of Application Development at World Fuel Services. Welcome, Rama.
Hi, I'm Rama Rachappa, Senior Director of Applications at World Fuel Services. I lead several engineering teams to support our enterprise, custom applications, and integrations. Today, I'd like to give you an overview of the New Relic CI/CD platform that we use extensively. There are very few tools out there that could help us to manage and provide a single comprehensive view of our CI/CD pipeline. We need to see the pipeline from start to finish, from a feature request creation to production deployment, as it goes through dev, test, and prod deployment. Through webhooks, we can aggregate data from our issue tracking tools, and CI/CD servers. In our case, it'll be Jira, Bitbucket, and Bamboo. New Relic can correlate data from start to finish, regardless of the tools that data came from, whether it's proprietary or open source. Now, that's the magic of New Relic. Telemetry data platform has the flexibility to normalize the data and support multiple tools. And then we can build a nerdlet to take the data and apply meaningful analytics and visualization for our teams. Now, let me show you what I mean by that. When I go into this app, immediately I can see a holistic view of all the projects we are capturing. I can view key metrics from Jira for all my engineering teams. I can look at total projects, number of bugs, how many features or issues were worked on, the average completion time or cycle time. I can also look at the data from Bitbucket, the number of code repos, the number of check-ins. Another cool feature that is very useful is the trend chart for a specified time interval. This gives insight how we are trending from one sprint to another. From there, I can filter to a specific project. If the project is configured in the webhook, then it'll be listed in the drop-down on the left. Now I have project level data. So I can look at the average velocity, which is the number of story points delivered in a sprint on an average. The backlog health is color coded, which is pretty neat. We can quickly see how many sprint worth of stories our squad has ready to go. Another cool feature is the frequency of deployments and the trend over a set period. We can also look at the average time the ticket has been opened, closed, and the story points completed over time. I can also configure my repos and types of issues that are included in the dashboard by clicking the Edit button at the top right. This dashboard is really helpful for any delivery team to get insight into the sprint metrics. Now I'm back to my main screen, and from here I can dive into a specific sprint view. Now this is the April 28th sprint. We have a specific metric for each sprint, both the stories and the total story points. What was it at the start of the sprint? What was committed? And how many were delivered at the end of the sprint? More importantly, the number of releases or deployments that were done in that sprint. We can also review each individual tickets in the backlog at the start of a sprint and what was in the sprint and what was completed. I can click each ticket to see the history of the ticket, the status, the priority, owner, etc. Now that's it for the sprints. Now let's transition over to Kanban. We also have unplanned work streams that come up in any sprint, and these are captured in our Kanban reporting. Most of these issues will be bugs. With this Kanban view, I can see the critical issues that have come up, and these are classified as priority 1 or priority 2. And then I can also look at, by each squad, how many Kanban issues have come up in the current sprint. And I can dig into more details around which applications, and we also have labels for each of these tickets. And these labels provide us insight into the types of issues that are being reported by the business, whether it's bugs or data fix or some other issues. So this is a really useful feature for our teams. I can also see the average response time, which is about a day, so the teams can mobilize and collaborate around optimizing that number. So as you can see, we can pivot between high-level holistic views or drill into specific app-level details. With New Relic, we can link the work we are doing in the sprints to the actual service or applications. We can then collaborate around key APIs, KPIs, and course correct as necessary. We have also built dashboards that aggregate data from our CI/CD server, that is Bitbucket and Bamboo. This data is really useful for our engineering managers and tech leads to review the pull requests by projects and code repos. We can also review the details of each pull request, who created the pull request, and when. We can also review the check-ins by code repos, the number of builds generated, and details for each check-in. Now let's go over to our deployment dashboard. Here we can see deployments by squads and the details of each deployment. We also have the ability to see the deployments done in the lower instances. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, we do a quarterly assessment of our Agile and DevOps maturity against a set of practices that we have established. So these can be seen here, and these are done quarterly. That was a pretty quick run through, but hopefully it gave you a taste of how we are able to use New Relic's observability platform to improve our build and deploy cycles. This has become a critical framework for our retros. Before standardizing on NR1, we had to manually find and gather this data, which was then evaluated in silos. Now, we save a ton of time and have all the context we need by automatically having all the data in one place. Using NR1 has brought new visibility into our CI/CD pipeline, driving better outcomes, better collaboration, and ultimately more reliable software deploys. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks, Rama. When I listen to your story, it makes one thing clear. Leveraging observability beyond monitoring software in production lets engineers gain valuable insights so they can improve their plan, build, and deploy cycles. And with the ability to deploy custom-built or community-shared applications and to create custom visualizations, leveraging observability to suit the specific needs of your business has never been easier. Our roadmap will continue to evolve as we offer new observability solutions across the full software lifecycle. And I can't wait to see the use cases we solve together.
Pearson is the largest online education company in the world. Our responsibility is to make sure that our systems are resilient and they can respond to any outage. New Relic has been able to help us identify an outage before it happens. The New Relic wallboard now sends early warning alerts to the teams, identify the components that are failing, and go immediately and fix them.
Everyone uses New Relic at Chegg. I've got infrastructure folks that are focusing on deep infrastructure problems. I've got product engineering teams who are building the best products for our students, and everyone has the tools they need to be successful.
We try to be available 24/7, if not with human backup, at least with AI backup for customer engagement, citizen engagement. When our document management system isn't available, courts can't run. Through COVID and the elections, New Relic really became a profound tool. It was more than observability. It was really collaboration and a communications tool, which was tremendous for us.
Engineers are building and deploying software faster than ever, thanks to microservices, containers, and cloud technologies. But using fragmented monitoring tools to manage these distributed environments makes problem-solving siloed, complex, and inefficient. We've already talked about how engineers extending New Relic One based on open standards and open source libraries like GraphQL and React. What this also means is that New Relic provides an incredible opportunity for partners to integrate directly in the platform. When you can combine data from all the stages of your development lifecycle and visualize it all in one place, it helps you build better software and build it faster. Here to tell us more about our exciting ecosystem integrations is Buddy Brewer, our Group Vice President for Strategic Partnerships. Over to you, Buddy.
Thanks, Seema. As you pointed out, New Relic One provides the most open and flexible platform for partners. Let's look at a few examples of some of the newest integrations in New Relic One today, thanks to our ecosystem partners, so we can understand what this looks like for developers on the platform. Let's say you use Fastly for content delivery, like so many of our customers. You can send structured log data right into New Relic One to see in context with your other observability data. You can then use capabilities like Lookout to scan for anomalies in that CDN data. This lets you quickly discover, for example, if there's an anomalous response time spike in London or an increase in request throughput in Washington, D.C. Another example is Lacework. Lacework provides end-to-end security management and diagnostics for major cloud platforms. Through simple configuration, you can forward security alerts from Lacework to New Relic One, so you can see them in context with all your other telemetry data. And I bet more than a few of you use Postman. Did you know that you can configure Postman to incorporate the results of your API tests into New Relic One alongside all your other observability data? Now, if you have a failing test in Postman where the root cause is an error being thrown deep in your application logic, you can see this information together in context without having to flip back and forth between tools. Now, this is all possible because our telemetry data platform stores all of your data in one place without silos. And full stack observability gives you everything you need to connect that data together in a single platform. All of it benefits from applied intelligence that surfaces unusual behavior automatically without any configuration. And that's why every New Relic One user can see logs in context with traces for an application. Every engineer can start with a service and see the health of containers in the Kubernetes cluster where that service is running. And all of that context can be extended and customized using the same tools New Relic engineers use every day. Our integrations today help you in the moments when you're operating your software, when there's a problem, or when there's a key change you're introducing to production. But that's just the beginning of our vision. In the future, we're going to integrate more deeply with the tools you use, not only to run your software, but the tools you use to plan and to build it too. We're making the platform so open and so easy to build on that most of the tools developers use today will one day integrate with New Relic One. This will help engineers throughout the software development lifecycle build better software faster. There's so much more we can do with our partners when we work together seamlessly. And to show the power and the depth of these partnerships, we're excited to share with you a big announcement. We've teamed up with Kentic to deliver network performance telemetry in New Relic One. Now, for those of you who might not be familiar with Kentic, they're a network observability company. And like New Relic One, Kentic provides a fully SaaS platform. But before we get into the details, I'd like to highlight the power of this partnership in terms I'm certain will resonate with the engineers in the audience. When software fails, it happens in unexpected ways and at the worst time. And when there's an unexpected problem in the middle of the night, software engineers often suspect a network failure. But usually they don't have the tools or the context to diagnose the problem, and so they wake up the on-call network engineer, even if they're unsure that there's a network issue at all. Now, as you can imagine, this leads to a lot of frustration, a lot of finger pointing, and ultimately slower resolution of issues. DevOps teams and NetOps teams both know that there must be a better way. And since modern architectures have eliminated many of the technical boundaries, the time's come to help eliminate the boundaries between the teams. With this network context in New Relic One, teams will have even better information to help rule out or rule in the network as the cause of an issue. They can more often let their NetOps team sleep at night when the network isn't to blame and provide better context to them when a network configuration or an availability zone outage is implicated in an alert. And teams achieve this with a simple setup, letting New Relic One do the hard work of identifying and connecting all of their network entities to their apps and to their infrastructure. Teams then get alerts and AI capabilities like anomaly detection in New Relic Lookout right out of the box. The data can then be viewed and analyzed in dashboards or in custom visualizations. Now I'd like to introduce you to the co-founder and CEO of Kentic, Avi Friedman, to tell you a little bit more about this great partnership. Welcome, Avi.
Thanks, buddy. I'm super excited to be here with you today. As you mentioned, Kentic is the network observability company. With Kentic, network engineers can ask any question about their network performance and security and get answers fast. With our New Relic One partnership, customers can use our integration to add network context into New Relic One from network sources like VPC flow, SNMP, NetFlow, and performance testing. NR1 also converts this telemetry into first-class network entities like router, switch, VPC, or geography, and correlates it cross-stack. For us, this partnership helps us grow by connecting with all the engineers that use the NR1 platform, and by letting all of our network customers connect to their peers in other groups. I'd love to show you what it looks like, but before I get to a demo, I'd like to tell you about how we started this partnership. The funny thing is, it all started with a free account. Last year, we saw New Relic's open platform announcement featuring the telemetry data platform and signed up for an account to test it out. As a backend nerd, I decided to use the C SDK. It was simple, easy, and reliable. I had data going in 15 minutes. You could see some of the code on this slide. Surprisingly to me at the time, it just worked. We'd been trying all sorts of observability platforms for years and quickly broke them with network data, either with volume or almost always with cardinality. So to me, it was amazing that the NR1 UI not only showed the data super quickly, but also let me pull the attributes and the cardinal values for those attributes super quick, even over weeks of network data. Most vendors prefer one type of telemetry as primary. NR1 supports many kinds of data, while adding context and enrichment, which was all a big plus for us. Of New Relic's metrics, logs, events, and traces, we chose metrics and events to represent network data, which I'll show you in the demo. But before the demo, a couple other things I wanted to share with you about partnering with New Relic. First, as I was getting to know New Relic 1, I submitted a couple dozen pieces of web feedback about UX, UI, ingest, and documentation. I was really floored with the quick responses I got, many of which led to some great conversations with amazing people. I was especially floored because I was just using a free account at the time. That experience drove great conversation at Kentic, and I think it's a great model of customer centricity for us all. Second, also last summer, we saw New Relic's open source announcement. We've been a big believer in the importance of bringing network telemetry into the open telemetry world. Really appreciated New Relic's announcement and commitment, and are looking forward to partnering with New Relic on that. So with that, let's go to the demo. I'm going to start here with New Relic's Explorer. On the left, we can see the network entities identified alongside the other first-class citizens like application and infrastructure components. Here, we're looking at cloud VPC networks with the most important metrics like endpoints, conversations, and traffic highlighted. I could click on a VPC to get a pre-built dashboard, or if I go to Navigator, we'll see that it's auto-grouped the VPCs by tag, colored them by status, and no config was needed. This all works out of the box. And if I want to see more, I can click on a VPC, and a sidebar will pull up with all the key metrics, and if I wanted to, I could click to see the auto-generated dashboard. Moving to Lookout, this is a visual view of anomalies. Powered by New Relic's AI, it's analyzing the network metrics and shows anomalies at a quick glance. Again, I can click for more details, and it'll show me more detail, metrics, and give me access to dashboard for more detail and dig in as well. And finally, we can bring it all together the traditional way as well. With this dashboard, which adds in an open source network visualization, you can see network behavior alongside app, compute, and business metrics, all in dashboards the teams already use. So thanks for taking this quick tour with me, but this was really all just a taste. The New Relic and Kentic teams are hard at work designing and building a full UX for you, but we need your feedback. We're inviting all customers to sign up for early access right now. Please go to kentic.com/FutureStack or newrelic.com/network-observability to save your spot in the early access program. Thanks so much to all our New Relic friends, and back to you, Seema.
Wow, it's so exciting to see the power of our open platform. We're looking forward to more innovation from this partnership with Kentic and other ecosystem partners. For our last keynote talk today, I'm honored to introduce another innovative customer of New Relic. Chegg is the leading student-first interconnected learning platform, offering on-demand support to transform the way millions of students learn. Here to share how Chegg leverages New Relic Lookout to learn about the overall health of their distributed system is Scott Gorman, SRE Manager for Chegg. Welcome, Scott.
Hi there. My name is Scott, and I'm with Chegg Inc. And we are a digital learning platform that's focused on students. I'm here to talk to you today a little bit about how we are using New Relic's Lookout application. The thing that I want to talk today about is the first step that we look into when an engineer gets paged. So to start, let's talk about the problem space a little bit here. For Chegg, we've got hundreds of on-call engineers supporting distributed systems that change rapidly, hundreds of services. It's not entirely possible to always know when there are new services that are dependent on yours or you are dependent on systems downstream. So we need a tooling that doesn't require us to be fully instrumented all the way through the stack. We need a tool that doesn't require us to know the answers to every question that we might ask it. And New Relic's Lookout is giving us that. Specifically in this case, where we're finding a lot of value is as a single pane of glass across all of our systems. So New Relic Lookout is doing that for us in this way. I'm going to walk through a couple of slides here that I think are particularly valuable. What you're seeing here is the first thing that you see when you get in to Lookout. Basically, there's some useful color coding and some obvious size differences on the screen here. And what that's doing is telling you maybe where you should shift your focus. Specifically, I just got paged for my service. Let's say I'm part of the commerce team or something, and I have multiple other services that are reliant on me, and I want to know which one of them's which ones I'm impacting the most. In this case, we can see that pretty easily where we should focus our effort and try and get those people on the call with us, or at least alert them to what we're investigating. If we see something here that we need to dig into a little bit deeper, we can click on any of those bubbles, and that will give us some more useful information. There's two tabs in particular that I wanted to highlight as extremely useful for us. And those are this abnormal history tab and then the one next to it in correlations. So abnormal history very quickly at a glance can tell you if the thing you're looking at happens all the time and you can move on to something else, or if you should devote more effort here. So in this case, we've got a long list of abnormal history for this particular service, and it all looks pretty similar. So this tells me I probably can, see this as a red herring and move on and not worry too much about this one. If there was only one or two, or if they were other things other than what I'm looking at here, that would tell me this is an interesting place to be. And again, I don't have to have known to look for that. I don't have to have an alert that's set up at a threshold. This is all going to be very intuitive and not require a lot of input from me in terms of how that service is behaving, because it's just telling me something looks different than usual. The other thing that gets to the point of where we're using it is what else is having a similar problem? Where else might I pull people in so that we can have a useful conversation about what else is impacted in the system and combine our efforts and be more effective in reducing time to resolution and getting out of the incident. Where we found the real value here is in kind of reducing the scariness of being on call. A lot of teams feel like, there's a big learning curve to understanding the whole system, and this reduces that. Doesn't require you to have full visibility into the way that everything works. It just gives you some hints about who you should reach out to in an incident, who to get on the call with you so that you can effectively solve it. And with that, I want to just say thank you to New Relic and thank you for your time.
Wow, what an amazing kickoff this has been for FutureStack 21. I hope you're as excited as I am about the incredible innovation happening within the New Relic platform and across our community. We covered a ton of exciting stuff today, from instant observability with Pixie, to customizable and programmable visualizations to New Relic Errors Inbox, and our exciting roadmap for ecosystem integrations, including adding network observability data to New Relic One. We also heard from New Relic customers, including Chegg, Credit Karma, and World Fuel Systems, about how their engineering teams are leveraging New Relic to unlock what's possible in the realm of observability and accelerate data-driven innovation at all stages of the software lifecycle. Last but not least, thank you to our FutureStack sponsors, AWS, Forum, GitHub, Diginomica, and Major League Hacking. All that, and we're just getting started. With so many awesome sessions coming up for day one, you're going to have a hard time choosing which ones to attend. But don't let FOMO ruin your day. All of the sessions will be available for on-demand viewing so you can watch at your own pace. To give you a taste of what's ahead, let's look at some of the available sessions and topics. We've got everything from hands-on workshops to short, snackable 20-minute sessions. And even some sessions that will be inspirational and fun, including yoga, Lego builds, and a live DJ. The hands-on workshops will cover topics like custom attributes and events, Kubernetes native observability, integrating custom alerting, instrumentation made simple, observability via dashboards, and using OpenTelemetry with New Relic. If you want to quickly come up to speed on AI and ML-powered observability, as well as observability for modern architectures, then the 20-minute snackable sessions are just what you're looking for. These short sessions will cover topics like understanding app performance, troubleshooting large-scale environments, monitoring your CDN, staying on top of your CI/CD pipelines, AI and logs, using applied intelligence to identify actionable alerts, and much more. So get yourself comfortable and get ready to level up because it's time to dive into some awesome sessions. Let's do this.